First of all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I got to meet you briefly backstage, and this is our first time meeting, and I noticed immediately that you're a good dresser. You know what I mean? I already knew you were a great writer. You've got the book here and everything. I imagine you have a little money from writing such great books and stuff. And the other thing is that you're tall. So what I really wanted to talk to you about tonight was tall privilege.
Yes.
Okay? Do you feel it? Do you walk around with it? Are you aware of it?
You know, I do think I'm aware of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always think you're truly tall when I don't know my exact height, like down to a kind of half inch.
Wait. No.
I'm like, I'm in the neighborhood of 6'2", 6'3". Yeah.
This is in the neighborhood. This is like when people with money are like, guys, money's not real. It's like, Mr. Top Shelf doesn't know how tall he is wild. You talk about such like such specific topics in the book in a really touching and creative way, because you talk about class, you talk about privilege, you talk about race, you talk about so many different things at once. And so I would love for you to also talk to us about Smith, your protagonist, and the sort of world that he's living in and how he navigates through all these different spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Great Black Hope opens, we meet Smith, who's a Black queer 20-something. And in the opening scene, he's arrested on the last night of a sweltering summer for cocaine possession in the Hamptons, and then sort of through the court system funneled into for-profit recovery. And so in that recovery program, he's kind of forced to contend with questions of race, class, privilege, as well as his kind of ongoing grief in the aftermath of his best friend's death.
Yeah, and when you look at a character who is queer, Black, and rich, those three different things don't usually seem like they go together to people who are like on the outside.
Sure.
So one or two of them mess up the idea of the person for the other ones, if that makes sense. And so have you seen in life that there are people who have that thing exactly, where it's like one identity kind of like derails everyone's expectations from the other two or three or four?
Yeah, I was really interested in this question of like how, in the sort of court system, Smith's class privilege protects him or insulates him, but his race does not. And so this kind of tension between his race and class identities is really at kind of the heart of the novel. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I definitely think that that's something I've kind of observed in my own life and like wanted to bring into the book is like, when you begin the novel not having kind of a lot of backstory on Smith, we see a Black man who's arrested in the Hamptons. And people may have certain expectations about where the story is going to go based on all of the kind of like cultural detritus and like history and images that we have of Black men ensnared in the criminal justice system. But then it becomes more complicated as we discover the sort of extent of his class privilege.
And one thing that I've wondered, because it's a narrative that we've been getting shifted toward for a very long time, like pretty much since Obama, is that now things aren't about race anymore, they're more about class. And so what in your experience, and you can also, speak to the experiences of Smith in the book, what is it about one outweighing the other? Is it situational, or is it for some people one completely dictating how you're treated in spite of the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think it so depends on the context. Like, I think in the book, when Smith is entering a room, often, his race privilege is what people are kind of consuming about him first, like that's external. And a lot of expectations and kind of projections are being placed upon him, in 12-step meetings or in kind of the for-profit group recovery that he's court mandated into. And discovering the sort of like complexity of his identity requires actually talking to him. And so in the book, a lot of his queerness, a lot of his class background, and the sort of like Black respectability politics of his family are kind of apparent to the reader, are explored, in Smith's interiority, but aren't always evident to the people he's encountering.
And do you think that whether it informed how you wrote the book or it's just in your everyday life, that your understanding of respectability politics plays into how you move in different circles? Because it's one thing to not know. It's one thing to really genuinely believe, like, oh, if I do everything right, everyone will like me, instead of the fact that a person's inability to do everything right all the time will be the excuse for people who don't like you to continue not liking you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that when you look at Smith, who I imagine you're using some of your own experiences to inform his journey, do you think that there's a sort of awakening from respectability politics, or do you think that in order to succeed, you have to play that game a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Smith is a character who has really internalized the lessons of kind of the Southern black bourgeoisie world that he grew up in, specifically as regards kind of black respectability politics. He feels like he needs to present a certain way, speak a certain way, dress a certain way, and that's kind of his passport into certain rooms and like a kind of proximity to whiteness. But what I really wanted to explore was how that kind of strict adherence to black respectability politics for Smith becomes something that like eats him from the inside out. It's a kind of impossible burden, that constant performance that he feels like he has to endure.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing how it's taking this kind of like taxing mental toll on Smith throughout, and also how like at the end of the day it doesn't actually protect him. Like if he's going to be profiled by a couple of plainclothes police officers, that's going to happen regardless of how he's dressed. So.
Got you. And there's a lot of identity in the book, and there are these structures that are built around sometimes immutable characteristics and everything.
Sure.
But I think that one thing that really interested me through the book and through the aspects of your life that you put into the book is how much do you factor luck in? Because there are people across every socioeconomic imaginable situation that are of different races. Like there's just the boxing in of people, even as we get better at categorizing people's experiences, doesn't actually break up the fact that there's some luck, there's some unfairness, all these other things are at play. How much do you factor in luck when you think about these characters?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I mean, I think that Smith is a character who has always benefited from a great deal of luck. At one point in the book, he basically, in a 12-step meeting, says like, until recently, nothing really bad had ever really happened to him.
That's a great thing to say at 12-step.
Yeah, no one wants to hear that.
That's wild.
And indeed, no one responds very well to that.
I mean, it's almost like telling a guy who's not 6 foot that you don't know how tall you are. You know what I mean? It's like, it's rough out here. But yeah, I'm just so interested in that because in this 12-step meeting, he like is expressing and coming from a genuine expression too. It's not like he's bragging.
Right.
Nothing bad has ever really happened to me. And so one thing that I've been really interested in that I think the book does a great job of also like illustrating is that everyone's load is theirs to carry. The hardest life you're gonna have to live is your own. And so there are people who have never been through this, and this, even if they belong to your group, right? And so whatever they're going through, as easy as it may seem for you, is very hard for them because they aren't used to the load, you know? And I'm wondering from your perspective with the book, the people that, I don't want to say get left behind, but like the people that are lost in a way, if you think that socially the idea of the bad things that happen to him finally, if we're ever going to reach a level of understanding where that will be enough for the people who he is now with, do you know what I mean? Like if there's a world where he is in that 12-step meeting and he's like, if he's able to express it correctly.
Sure.
This is the first bad thing that's ever happened to me, but you guys have to understand that this is like huge for me. Not just because it's the first bad thing, but because like, imagine if you've never been punched in the face before. This is my first punch, you know?
Yeah,
is that what you were intending when you had that section in there?
Yeah, I mean, I almost think that a way to kind of explore that topic is through Smith's relationship with his main friend, Carolyn, who is a kind of wealthy white woman who's also in recovery in the novel. And I think in their dynamic, oftentimes he feels almost a kind of like moral high ground, being like, this is how things are for me. That sort of erases her like lived reality of recovery and also her kind of sense of like isolation and alienation at being perceived in this way by the person closest to her. And I think in a way, like what he is doing to Carolyn is what is also being done to him by other people, for instance, in that 12-step meeting. The kind of desire to be in a contest of pain is ultimately at odds with like true intimacy and showing love to people. And I think that that's something that Smith is realizing over the course of the novel.
I think that's very well said, and it's probably why you're such a great writer. I appreciate you so much being here. This is my first time doing the show and everything, and I'm trying to do things a little differently. So I'd like to wrap up a little different than we normally do. Normally, I like shake your hand and get everybody to, get excited. I hold up the book. I want to do it a different way if that's cool with you.
Let's do it.
Okay. You're very tall, and I would love if we could end this interview with a high five. Is that cool with you?
Let's get into it.
All right. Okay. Now, I want you to stick your hand up in the air, but I want you to reach up. Don't go easy on me. I want you to go really high, okay? All right. Let me get ready. Rob Franklin, everyone. Check out the book, Great Black Hope. It's available now.